Hi, I'm Jesse Waters, in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching this special edition of The Factor, Election 2016. And our top story tonight, Ted Cruz on the attack. The Texas senator went after Donald Trump on The Factor last night, saying he's not much different from establishment politicians like Hillary Clinton.
It's actually not a question of being more conservative or not. If you're fed up with the corruption of Washington, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are flip sides of the same coin. Hillary Clinton has made millions of dollars selling power and access in Washington, and Donald Trump has made billions of dollars buying power and access in Washington, buying people like Hillary Clinton.
He did it as a businessman.
But he's part of the corruption. He's part of the corruption. Right. He's funded open border Democrats for 40 years, and the people of New York are hurting.
With us now in New York, Andrea Tantaros, co-host of Outnumbered, and Democratic strategist Jessica Tarlov. It seems to me Cruz's strategy in New York is I don't go to Clinton weddings, and they're the insiders. They're the influence peddlers. They buy and sell politicians, and I'm this big outsider. Do you think that's going to work for Ted Cruz in New York?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. New Yorkers are upset at Ted Cruz for his New York values comment. But also, as much as he tries to paint himself as an outsider, and I do agree, Ted Cruz, for being an insider, isn't really part of the establishment. He's not well liked. But he runs into trouble, Jesse, because he said before that he doesn't take money from lobbyists when he does. I mean, Cruz takes money, like most politicians, as well as their PACs, from organizations like Goldman Sachs, the big banks, Credit Suisse. So I think it's a bit of a problem. Also, Donald Trump took that vulnerability off the table for himself a long time ago by saying, I admit it, I'm part of the problem. I use lobbyists, I use my influence, I use my money, because that's what I have to do. I have to buy influence with Democrats and Republicans, but I'll fix it when I get to Washington. So he took that attack off the table. Kind of hard to get him on that.
He said, you know, no one plays the game better than I do. Okay?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, now I'm going to work for you, the people. But he does have a point, Jessica, about Hillary Clinton, who has been at the center of pay for play her entire career, selling the Lincoln bedroom, Clinton Foundation. I mean, that's what the Clintons do. That's how they roll. Is that wrong?
Yes, I do think that you're wrong.
Really?
Well, I mean, the Lincoln bedroom thing for sure. But no, I think you're wrong insofar as, and I know that we really have to get into the weeds here, and Peter Schweitzer, who's written extensively about, you know, the Clinton world and Clinton cash and stuff like that, has said, you know, there is no evidence of a quid pro quo here. And I'm not at all going to say that there isn't a murkiness. There certainly is. And I think this is one of the things that drives her problem with the honesty and trustworthiness ratings, and also for Donald Trump as well. And I think that it doesn't benefit any Hillary supporter to say, you know, she's squeaky clean. She's not, but there isn't evidence.
Well, I mean, there is evidence. The New York Times reported that, you know, Bill Clinton gets $500,000 from the Russians, and then the State Department give them all the uranium that they need.
The New York Times said explicitly, we cannot prove that this is why that happened. Peter Schweitzer, we cannot prove that this is why that happened.
That's what a quid pro quo is. It's I scratch my bag, you scratch yours.
Come on.
That's how it works.
That would have come. No, there is no smoking gun on this. There just isn't.
Listen,
I know that it's a great.
But Jessica,
go ahead, Andrea.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And when it comes to the Clintons, I mean, you're coughing from all the smoke. I mean, no one can breathe anymore. I mean, you look at the quid pro quo, and there's no such thing as a Clinton coincidence. I mean, Jesse, you brought up, I should say, the deal, the uranium plant that was sold to the Russians. Then coincidentally, Bill Clinton gets a big speaking fee in Moscow for, you know, $500,000. And the list goes on and on. It's not just that deal. It's deals in Oslo. It's deals in Sweden. It's the Haiti business deals with the Clinton Foundation. All of this points to really shady, sketchy activity. And when the Clintons do corruption, they go big.
Right.
They go really big.
Jessica, if she's not being shady, then why isn't she releasing the transcripts from her speeches to Wall Street? And if she's not being shady, why did she continue to solicit donations to the foundation while she was its Secretary of State when she said she wouldn't?
That wasn't soliciting a foundation.
She was taking money from overseas countries while Secretary of State when she told Obama she wasn't.
The foundation was taking money. She was not taking money.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
It's not the Clinton Foundation?
No. Well, I think now is the Bill Clinton Foundation. It wasn't the Clinton Foundation in the way that it was after she left Secretary of State.
Okay, they just have the same name.
But everything your wife does, you do too. And
I have to, or else I get in trouble.
That's true. But what about the server? I mean, mean, we know that her server that's in question was set up by the Clinton Foundation. I mean, there's so many connections between Bill and Hillary Clinton and the foundation and how she peddled her influence as Secretary of State. And that's the biggest difference. And you can't pin that on a Donald Trump or a Ted Cruz. I mean, she really has a problem, Jessica, when it comes to her
Listen, I'm not disputing that there is a problem there. Absolutely. And as I said earlier, I think that this is affecting, obviously, her support. But going back to the Donald Trump issue, you said, yes, he got it out of the way. And he said, hey there, I bribe people. This is how it works in the business world. Hope you like it. Hope you vote for me. And
he didn't say I bribe people. He said I grease politicians.
No, he said
every real estate developer greases politicians. How do you think you're going to get a golf course through?
Right.
It's how the world works. You know it. And listen, he has distanced himself from pay to play. He says, I don't do it anymore. I'm self-funding. Hillary hasn't returned any Trump donations, has she?
This is a joke, right?
Has Hillary returned any Donald Trump donations? Yes or no?
Oh, is this what? Okay, I'll call her right now.
Yeah. Find out for me, because I don't think she has.
I don't think that that's the point here. And anything, Donald Trump is the #1 opportunist in this race. Whether it's Trump Stakes, Trump University, having convicted felons working on his projects.
He's an opportunist, but Hillary's been running for president for 30 years.
Isn't she great at it?
I was just going to say.
We don't know yet.
The Clintons have been in office for so long. They've made so much money by being professional politicians. I mean, they've made all their money in the public sector on the backs of taxpayers and big donors, and I do think it points to a huge problem.
Are we arguing that Donald Trump is a saint here? Because I'm a little bit confused as to what's going on.
And the Clintons stole the White House china. All right, let's not forget that.
And the W's off the keyboard.
That's right. Andrea, Jessica, thank you guys very much. Still to come, the circus that is the 2016 presidential race has come to New York. The latest from the campaign trail directly ahead. In the election 2016 segment tonight, all roads go through New York. The Empire State is delegate rich, and with the primary just 11 days away, it is now the center of the political universe as the candidates hunt for votes. Here's a new ad from Ohio GOP Governor John Kasich.
In Iowa, Ted Cruz sneered at our New York values.
I think most people know exactly what New York values are. And I got to say, they're not Iowa values and they're not New Hampshire values. Everyone knows what New York values are.
Ted Cruz divides to get a vote. John Kasich unites to get things done. Kasich delivered on his word and turned his state around with grit and determination, something New Yorkers should appreciate. John Kasich for president.
I'm John Kasich, and I approve this message.
Bernie Sanders has also been campaigning in New York, where he's had to walk back his claim that Hillary Clinton is not qualified to be president.
I've known Hillary Clinton for 25 years. I respect Hillary Clinton. We were colleagues in the Senate. And on her worst day, she would be an infinitely better president than either of the Republican candidates.
She's qualified.
Of course.
With us now, Fox News correspondent John Roberts, who's covering the Republicans. And joining us from Washington, Fox News chief White House correspondent Ed Henry, who covers the Clinton campaign for Fox News. John, we'll start with you with the Kasich ad. I thought it was a great ad. It's not going to win him New York, but I thought it was smooth how he said he attacked our values, because last time I checked, Kasich was from Ohio. He used the nice image of the beams of light coming up from the World Trade Center, and then he pivots to say he's not a divider, he's a uniter. Pretty good ad, wouldn't you say?
It is a very effective ad. And don't forget, Jesse, that on 9/11, everyone was a New Yorker, even if they weren't living in New York at that time. But Kasich has always made that point, say everybody else wants to divide the country. They want to polarize it. They want to play demagoguery in politics. I'm the one who wants to bring people together. I've got a positive message. He did go a little negative a couple of weeks ago, but he kind of really toned that back. And now he's at the point where he's trying to be all sunny and optimistic again, and I think that ad really plays to that.
I thought it was a pretty decent ad. I just don't think it's going to move the needle for him. Ed, Sanders, kind of erratic. He'd won 6 out of the last 7 states. He kind of looked like he had a little momentum, maybe not with the delegates, but in the polls he was creeping up. And then he flip-flops on whether Hillary's qualified or not. That's not a good look for Senator Sanders.
It's not. It's pretty similar to what John was talking about with John Kasich, because remember, Kasich famously said, I'm not going to take the low road to the highest office in the land. Sanders for months has been saying he's not going to unleash negative attacks, maybe even to his detriment. At that first Democratic debate in October, he took the whole email scandal off the table, for example. Some even in his own campaign wonder if that was such a good idea. And so this week, he all of a sudden comes out, guns a-blazing, is ready to take Hillary Clinton head on, and then maybe overstep a little bit, has to backpedal, and so he's finally going after her directly, because New York maybe is his last stand, because even though, as you say, he's had this momentum, she has the math, she has the delegates, and so it's going to be difficult for him to dig out of this now when he went after her and then pulls back.
Yeah, Sanders looks like he's all over the place. Let's get back to New York here. Trump's numbers really didn't deteriorate in New York after the Wisconsin loss and after his tough couple of weeks. I don't really see anything changing in New York unless he eats pizza with a fork and a knife. I think actually his lead expands.
You know, I actually tweeted out a picture yesterday in Brighton Beach in Brooklyn. I had a slice folded in half and said, look, Mom, no fork. Also, I know that you don't use a token on the New York subway. I used to take it all the time when I was here, and I know how to swipe a Metro card in one go. But
wait, are you saying that the Democrats don't know how to ride the subway?
You saw the pictures yesterday.
I know. But listen, you can't. They've been limousine liberals for the last 10 years. Hillary can't even drive, let alone on the subway.
But back to Trump's numbers. I think the reason why Trump's numbers have not moved in New York is because Ted Cruz is not particularly popular here. I was out in Brighton Beach yesterday when he went to visit a Jewish center, and he was there at the Matzah Bakery helping folks out. And he does have a modicum of support there. It's a very conservative area, one of the few around the New York City area, and a lot of people out there appreciate his views on religious freedom. They appreciate his devout support for Israel. But in other areas around New York, so his numbers weren't really, Ted Cruz was not going to become more popular. That's what happened in Wisconsin, is in the week and a half leading up to the contest there, Ted Cruz became a lot more popular. And I don't think that's really possible.
That's true. And the tabloids in New York absolutely despise Ted Cruz. That's not going to help whatsoever. Ed, quickly, at the end here, we have on the Democratic side, these people playing patty cake, apologizing for attacking each other. And then you have on the Republican side, it's like wives, hands, nuclear war. Going into the general election, you're going to have some battle-tested guy come out on the right. And then you're going to have probably Hillary, who hasn't had to answer any tough questions and defend herself. Who do you think really has the advantage there?
Well, I remember in 2008 that people were saying, boy, Barack Obama survived that kind of a nuclear hand-to-hand combat that you describe on the Republican side. Now, he'll be so weakened that John McCain is just going to pick him apart because of that fight with Hillary Clinton. And what it actually did made Barack Obama stronger, perhaps. Yep. And so the Republican nominee might emerge strong from that knife fight, if you will. But I think there's something else going on that we should pay attention to. Wisconsin was so much about the Republicans and Trump and Cruz. But remember, Hillary Clinton didn't just lose. She got crushed among young people again, crushed among men, and even lost, according to our exit polling, by 1 point among women to Bernie Sanders. That suggests she is very, very vulnerable, maybe in a way that we haven't seen because of this genteel fight on the left in the nominating process. But the big question is going to be, are the Republicans going to be so fractured that a weak Hillary Clinton will emerge and still win it all?
And just quick prediction towards the end. I know he's closing on Hillary in New York. Does he have a chance in New York, Senator Sanders?
He has a chance, but she still has the upper hand. There's a field poll out now in California, which is, by the way, is at the beginning of June, almost 500 delegates there, and Bernie Sanders is only 6 points down. So in some of these late states, he could still make a charge, but he's a few hundred delegates behind. It's going to be very difficult for him to catch up.
All right, John, Ed, thank you guys very much. Up ahead, the fallout after the dramatic showdown between Bill Clinton and the Black Lives Matter movement. We'll tell you about it next. In the Unresolved Problems segment tonight, Black Lives Matter blowback. Activists clashed with Bill Clinton yesterday during a campaign speech for Hillary. They're upset that Mrs. Clinton supported laws they say disproportionately incarcerate blacks, and that 20 years ago she characterized some violent young people as super predators. The former president was having none of it.
I don't know how you would characterize the gang leaders who got 13-year-old kids hopped up on crack and sent them out onto the street to murder other African American children. Maybe you thought they were good citizens. She didn't. She didn't. You are defending the people who kill the lives you say matter. Tell the truth.
Today, Bill Clinton said he regretted his tone and believes in protest. Meantime, over the weekend, former Super Bowl MVP Ray Lewis posted an emotional video on Facebook blasting the group for its silence about black-on-black crime in Chicago.
I'm trying to ask the question if to the organization of black lives, if they really mattered, then why not riot now? There was 141 murders this year, 82 murders last year at the same time. I'm trying to figure out in my mind why no one is paying attention to black men killing black men. Why we always find ourselves as the victims. And now we have the separation once again that we're being victimized because of one bad white cop, two bad white cops, three bad white cops kill a young black brother. But every day we have black on black crime killing each other.
Joining us now from Miami, defense attorney Andell Brown, and with us in New York, Keisha Hebben, also an attorney. Andell, first of all, I think it's delightful watching a civil war erupt among Democrats because, you know, I'm just bored of watching it on the Republican side. But
I'm sure you enjoy that.
I know, I do. It's delightful. I find it funny that you have these black activists protesting the first black president. Bill Clinton. And I think it shows how extreme that the Democratic Party base has gotten, because if you look at the numbers, the crime bill and what happened with welfare reform in the 90s, that people came off the welfare rolls and crime was reduced. So how can the Black Lives Matter folks be protesting that?
Well, I don't know exactly what the Black Lives Matter protest is all about, but when you have people such as myself who are interested in criminal justice reform, there's a question that arises. The super predator commentary that Mrs. Clinton made way back when has since been debunked many times over because the statistics didn't support it. When you have these type of comments, this type of mindset that has produced numerous policies in states that have criminalized children and tried them as adults, we don't allow them to drive, we don't allow them to make their own decisions, they can't sign contracts, they can't consent to sex, but we say they can face complex criminal justice system. That doesn't make any sense. So when Bill Clinton reinvokes this in response to a protester, it causes concern. Are we going back to those policies of 1994, or are they doing, like they have said, moving away from that? They've apologized for that, so why are we justifying it now? Well, that's the question that it raises in my mind.
And let's talk about 1994, because you look at the statistics right here. The crime bill in 94, violent crime in urban areas dropped 46%. After this bill passed.
It was dropping since 1992 before the bill was even signed.
Okay, so that had nothing to do with it?
That was already happening.
Okay, so it was already happening,
and it continued to happen.
Okay, listen,
I can't say it had nothing to do with it.
Keisha, I think when crime goes down, that's a good thing.
It's an excellent thing. And one of the things that a lot of people are forgetting is that when this bill, such as the one that Bill Clinton passed back in the 90s, we're forgetting about the victims' family members. They're not looking at, okay, this was a black person or a white person who killed my family member. They're looking at, we were victimized, we want justice. And if there's a need for a bill to reduce the amount of crime, whether it be in a black community or a white community, the fact of the matter is that it's needed. And one of the things that I don't agree with Black Lives Matters is they're not looking at all the underlying issues. It's more so, let's vilify police officers. I've been married to a police officer for 17 years, and I saw him every day put that uniform on and go to protect the community. And he's explained, he's a black officer. He's explained it's not so much about, okay, I'm this race, the defendant or the suspect is another race, so I'm going to kill you because of your race. They're protecting the community. It's not always about race. It's about all lives mattering.
That's true, and if you look on black crime, there's a lot of black people being killed by other black people in this country. And when you look at what Ray Lewis said, Andell, I mean, this guy's got a lot of street cred here. Do you take any stock in that the Black Lives Matter movement is ignoring black-on-black crime?
Well, what I will say is crime is a problem for anyone. No one wants to live in a neighborhood that's not safe. No one wants to see their family members being killed and murdered and hurt. No one wants to see crime happen. And I think it's responsible to address any type of crime. Now, black on black crime, trying to separate that out from the larger crime that goes on in this country, I think is an issue because it doesn't address the fact that all crime happens among people that share their neighborhood, locality, ethnicity. So to try to make it seem as if this is only a black problem is inaccurate and it's disingenuous.
No, it's not just a black problem, but I have the statistics right in front of me here by the FBI. The percentage of blacks killed by blacks, 90%. That's
right, and
that's
whites is
scary.
84%.
No, that's
not much of a difference.
No, it's not.
That's not much of a difference for whites.
No,
so
you're right.
It's just about who you live around.
You're exactly right.
That's who's going to be most of the crime.
And
most whites live around whites, and blacks live around blacks. That's just a demographic.
Okay, so
it's
then how is it? Okay,
problem that only exists in the black community.
But so then, why are Black Lives Matter people pointing fingers at white people for blacks killing other blacks? How's that the white man's problem?
Well, I don't know that they're doing that, and I can't speak for Black Lives Matter as I'm not a part of them.
That's exactly what they're doing.
That's your characterization of what they're doing.
No, come on, because they've been marching all over the country saying that. Keisha.
I can speak for myself, and let me tell you what I'm concerned about.
Endell, 1 second, let Keisha get in.
I believe that one of the things that we have to do, whether it be personally, as a race, as a gender, you have to look at yourself first, and you have to say, how can I improve as a person? And me being an African American, I look at the senseless murders going on in cities like Camden and Newark, and we have to start there. We have to teach our children better morals. We have to promote better education. We have to encourage more minorities or people in that community to be on the police force, to become prosecutors, to become judges. That's where the problem lies. You have to work within, and then you can start pointing fingers once you've done your work.
That's a great point. Endell, Keisha, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening. Some new polling out on Trump, Cruz, and Hillary that may surprise you. And we will have the latest twists in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. We hope you stay tuned for those reports. In the Impact segment tonight, the unpopular frontrunners. New polling out from the AP shows Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Hillary Clinton are all underwater in their favorability ratings. Ted Cruz is viewed unfavorably by 59% of American adults. 55% say they have an unfavorable impression of Hillary Clinton. And Donald Trump tops them all with a 69% unfavorable rating. By contrast, only 31% have an unfavorable view of John Kasich, and 39% view Bernie Sanders unfavorably. So why are all the poll leaders viewed so negatively? With us now to analyze from Washington, Kirsten Powers, a Fox News contributor. Kirsten, this might be the only time that I can remember ever where we're going to elect the president that we don't like. Usually we don't like the president after they've been in office. Now we don't like them going in. Could you imagine how bad these numbers are going to be after these guys have served a few years?
Well, I mean, we do have to wonder, though, because it could be also that these numbers are as bad as they are because this has been such a rough race. So if you go back and look at the trajectory of them, the favorabilities, they were never great, but they've definitely, their favorabilities have dropped and their unfavorabilities have gone up as this race has gone on. And it's been much worse on the Republican side if you look at Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. And I think that's a reflection of the race. I think a lot of people just don't like the way that they've behaved during this race.
I think Donald Trump has a chance, though, to move his numbers because he showed he can move his numbers. He did it in the Republican primary, went from single digits to double digits. Also, favorable numbers went up. They're going down a little bit now because he does so much media and he takes so many risks. Whereas Hillary Clinton never does any media, never takes any risks, totally gun shy. I think her negatives are locked in.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that, I know you have a certain view of Hillary Clinton, but I don't think it's necessarily true that if the more people see her, the less they like her. I think there are some people who actually like her more the more that they see. They are surprised at how substantive she is or how much she knows.
Can you name that person?
It's possible that I talk to people all the time actually. I talk to people all the time who say that when they've watched her in the debates that they have sort of it doesn't comport with sort of what they're seeing the coverage of her in the media. I think with Trump also, look, if he decides to sort of pivot and try to maybe dial it back a little bit on some of the stuff that he's been doing, I do think that he could improve his numbers. I think that he has a likable side, the same way Hillary has a likable side, and they have to just show that more.
Right. I think Trump's problem is he's just offensive to people, but people still like him. He's very entertaining, and people enjoy seeing him. They enjoy watching him. Whereas Hillary Clinton...
Speaking for yourself, Jesse?
No, I mean, look at the ratings. You have tens of thousands of people going out to hear him. You have he's on every TV show. The ratings go up. I mean, he is an entertaining guy. He was in television for a long time. You can't deny that. But I'm saying Hillary is unlikable because she's unlikable. No one wants to have a beer with Hillary Clinton.
Like what? This is like his unlikability numbers are much higher than hers. So what are you talking about?
Higher. Wait a second.
Oh, yes, they are.
What
are they? 55, and his are almost 70. And you're trying to suggest that somehow she's less likable than he is? Look, I mean,
not only that, I'm talking about levels of trust too. I mean, no one trusts her either.
Right, but I think that he could turn his numbers around. It's a little harder for her in some ways because she's been she is just sort of a polarizing figure ideologically, right? I mean, she's just kind of, I think some of it is political, and I think with him some of it is more people don't necessarily like the temperament, but he can show a different side. He has a different side, and it's a question of whether or not he wants to highlight that more.
Well, we'll find out whether President Obama was right, whether Hillary Clinton is likable enough. Kirsten, thank you very much. Straight ahead, Hillary Clinton laughs off the idea of herself in handcuffs over the email scandal. But should she? The latest next on The Factor. Thanks for staying with us on this special edition of the O'Reilly Factor, Election 2016. I'm Jesse Waters in for Bill O'Reilly. And in the personal story segment tonight, Hillary Clinton continues to be dogged by her email scandal. During an interview today, she was asked about all the GOP talk of her getting arrested.
Do you know what I hear a lot? They are clinging to the hope that the way they'll be able to deal with that is that at some point between now and the election, and they say this, that they will get to see Hillary Clinton in handcuffs.
Oh my
That there will be some kind of political perp walk based on your private email server.
Well, Matt, I know that they live in that world of fantasy and hope because they've got a mess on their hands on the Republican side. That is not going to happen. There is not even the remotest chance that it's going to happen.
Joining us now from Washington, Lisa Booth, a Republican strategist, and Richard Goodstein, former Hillary Clinton campaign advisor. I think she's on to something.
Hi, Jesse.
There is a fantasy about seeing Hillary in handcuffs. I mean, Bill Clinton has that fantasy. It's a totally other issue, though. She's always laughing, Lisa, when she's asked about the email. I mean, was that like a nervous tick or something like that? That's her tell, I think.
Well, Jesse, I think Hillary Clinton is living in fantasy land here. She has been patently dishonest with the American people. This is a woman who wants to be commander-in-chief. She wants to oversee the world's largest nuclear arsenal, but we can't even trust her with classified information. And she keeps trying to chalk this up to some sort of partisan witch hunt. But the FBI, this is a full-blown criminal investigation with tens of dozens of FBI agents dedicated to it. They've already granted a staffer immunity. They're interviewing her top aides. They're going to be interviewing her as well. And they found 2,000 classified emails already on her server. So she's continued to be patently dishonest with the American people.
Richard, Lisa makes a great point. I mean, there's a report out the other day. There's 142 FBI agents assigned to the Hillary Clinton case. And it's a lot of agents to be looking at emails that were supposed to be about yoga.
Right. And within a day, that number was retracted to be under 50, Jesse, just so your viewers understand.
Still a lot of agents to look at yoga emails, Richard.
Look, the fact of the matter is, the reason that it's a fantasy is that Hillary Clinton wallops Donald Trump and beats Ted Cruz pretty handily. So, of course, they've got to hold out some hope. But you know what? Think back to when she had her concussion. Oh, she's incapacitated. Benghazi, oh my God, look what she was responsible for. And now it's emails. This reminds me of playing the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals and saying about Steph Curry, maybe he'll break his leg, maybe he'll get busted for something, as opposed to actually providing a good offense and a defense to beat him. I'm waiting for Republicans to talk about how they're going to beat her on the issues rather than nonsense like this. All about classification, which incidentally Colin Powell referred to as absurd because his emails were subsequently, after the fact, like hers, deemed classified. It's nonsense for
wait
him
a second.
and for her.
Did Colin Powell have a secret email server at his house, Richard?
Well, okay, so what Colin Powell did is he had an AOL.
Did he have a secret email server at his house?
Jesse, listen to me. What you're asking is a misdirection. He used an AOL account. Here's why. First of all, there's no evidence whatsoever that anybody breached her system, okay? We do know, actually, that the State Department system was breached. And when Colin Powell was using AOL,
Jesse,
my point is
you're talking about misdirection. There's a lot of misdirection. Let me ask you this, Lisa. We're talking about unauthorized removal and retention of classified documents or material, imprisonment for 1 year, concealment, removal, imprisonment for 3 years. The FBI director is about to interview Hillary Clinton about possible misdemeanors and felonies. Richard seems to think that's good news. Well, I don't see how that makes sense.
And Jesse, the problem here is the FBI obviously is taking this very seriously, and that's the problem for Hillary Clinton. And the bigger problem for Hillary Clinton as well is this has already sunk in with the American voters. The majority of Americans do not trust Hillary Clinton. They associate her name with liar. And even among the Democratic Party, we've seen an exit polling, such as was the case in Wisconsin. You've got 1/3 of voters that list trust as a very important issue. Only 16% of those voters trust Hillary Clinton. This is a big problem for her. And the problem with her as well is you have Bernie Sanders, who's running a campaign on authenticity. And what is more inauthentic than a liar, than someone who has been patently dishonest with the American people?
I'll tell you what's
She's
worse
lied about this issue in so many different ways. Americans just cannot trust her.
I'll tell you what's worse, Lisa, is running against somebody who's a racist, a bigot, a xenophobe, and a misogynist.
But you
I will
can't
take that
defend Hillary Clinton, so you're going to...
Richard,
but this is what
that
the Democratic
sounds like,
Party does.
Richard, that's a real bad smear right there, okay? If you want to talk about
Right,
misogyny,
and
we
it's
can talk about
demagoguery.
Bill Clinton, too. We
you know
can
what?
play that game.
You know what? If Donald Trump wants to run against Bill Clinton, that's a campaign he can have in some
But
alternative
see,
universe.
Jesse,
Hillary
this
Clinton's
is what the
running, not
Democratic
Bill.
Party does, is they result to demagoguery.
Right.
You cannot defend Hillary Clinton, so you're personally going on the attack of the Republican candidates.
Well,
the reality
all right,
is this
listen,
is a big problem for Hillary Clinton. And
guys,
also,
the
mind
bottom
you, this
line
is another...
that she's not
Hold on, this is
trusted and
another
she's got
problem.
a lot
This
of
is another
problems with
problem
the
for
FBI.
Hillary
I gotta
Woman
go,
in
guys.
the
We gotta go
world.
to commercial, guys.
Most
Thank you
admired
guys
woman in
very
the world.
much. Directly ahead, set your DVRs. It's time for Water's World highlights when we come right back. In the Water's World segment tonight, what do the folks think of the issues and the candidates dominating the 2016 campaign? I asked them, and here's what they said. Donald Trump, what do you think of him?
You know, I think he's a great candidate. I think that he speaks his mind.
What do you guys think about Trump?
Trump! Get him out of here!
If Trump is president, are you guys going to leave the country?
I'm going back to Kenya.
Fine, less traffic.
I'm a Trump supporter, so I think he's great.
I should be VP!
He's too ridiculous. The stuff that comes out of his mouth is too crazy.
Hillary barks like a dog, but you think Trump is crazy?
I'm not a fan of Hillary either.
You know? She's like this happy face with the smile all the time. And you know, we're not stupid, Hillary. America's not stupid.
Oh!
Are you going to vote?
No. I have felonies.
That's right, we bad.
This guy.
Is he friends with Obama?
Great Scott.
Are you guys feeling the burn?
I've never heard of it.
Ooh, that guy's something Sanders. He's a socialist.
I was going to say Bill O'Reilly.
This is the polar opposite of Bill O'Reilly. Would you accept candy from this man?
No. Stranger danger!
Wait, it's okay.
Stranger danger!
No, please.
What do you think is a bigger threat to the United States, climate change or terrorism?
Climate change.
Climate change. I mean, I would go with climate change.
A lot more people have died because of terrorism.
Yeah, but I'm not a people person.
Do you think the Earth is overpopulated?
Yes. I think we need to do something to control that.
So if you weren't around, then the Earth would be healthier?
Probably.
So maybe we should all just kill ourselves on Earth Day.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
How would you fight the war on terrorism? our enemy right now?
An enemy is a negative word, and putting that out there is just perpetuating more negativity.
I think the worst thing to do when someone's trying to pick a fight with you is start to yell back at them.
So we should be nicer to the terrorists.
That's probably your last question, due to how ridiculous that is.
Do you guys know who the vice president is?
That's embarrassing.
Joe Biden.
Excellent.
Joe.
Joe.
Clinton. Bush.
First president of the United States.
Oh, God. I have no idea.
That is a great question. I have no idea.
Now, who was president during World War II?
Winston Churchill.
Are you British?
No. During World War II, I think it was Bush. Am I close? Lincoln.
Lincoln?
I don't know.
That was the Civil War. I'm Waters, and this is my world right here.
Nice.
My bad. And if you want more of that, remember to tune in on April 23rd for a full hour of Waters World. And also remember to check out BillO'Reilly.com, where you can take a look at the new box sets featuring Bill's killing books. Buy a set and you can get a free copy of the Constitution. And if you become a premium member on the website, get any of his books free of charge. Up next, President Obama girds for battle with the GOP. Directly ahead. In the back of the book segment tonight, President Obama gearing up for battle. For the first time since his presidency, Mr. Obama submitted to a sit-down interview with Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace. And among the many topics they covered, his fight with Republicans over the Supreme Court pick Merrick Garland.
Have you made a commitment to Garland that you're going to stick by him through the end of your term? Or perhaps, let's say Hillary Clinton is the newly elected president, would you pull him and let her make the pick?
What I think we can't have is a situation in which the Republican Senate simply says, because it's a Democratic president, we are not going to do our job, have hearings, and have a vote.
But just to button this up, Are you saying you will stick with Merrick Garland through the end of your term?
Yes.
Joining us now, Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace. Congratulations on the interview. I cannot wait to see it. But first off, we have had a very contentious interview with the president. We've been very aggressive holding him accountable, and he's let us know how he feels about that. So first, how did you land the interview? And then when you did sit down with him, I know you're very charming, but was he happy to see you?
Well, it only took me 8 years, or almost 8 years. The last time I interviewed him for Fox News Sunday, I've done a couple of interviews for the channel, but the last time I did it for the show was in May of 2008 when he was running for president. So as I say, it only took 8 years. And the reason that he sat down with us is, I think I made the pitch. I do it we ask him every week, but I made a specific pitch right now because, as you saw there, he is trying very hard to get Senate Republicans to change their course and to give a hearing and a vote to his Supreme Court nominee, Merrick Garland. Obviously, the Republicans united against it. He thought Fox News Sunday was a good forum to make his case. As far as the relationship, I have to say he and I have always gotten along pretty well. And
everybody gets along well with you, Chris.
Well, I don't know about that. I'd like to think so. But while he certainly has problems with Fox, and I think they've had problems with my show, he generally feels that I treat him fairly and respectfully. And I have to say, he was in an exceedingly good mood. We were supposed to have 20 minutes with him. We had more than half an hour, and he was in no hurry to leave.
A lot of people, I think, watching right now, you get a Fox anchor up there with President of the United States, cannot wait to sink their teeth into President Obama. You have questions like, you were dancing the tango when people were dying in the streets of Brussels, or Hillary Clinton's email scandal. How tough were you on President Obama without going over that line?
I have to ask you, do you know what my questions were? Because you just brought up two of the subjects that I discussed with him.
What can I say? I mean, I'm thinking like you're thinking then.
Yeah, exactly.
What did he say?
Yes, I did talk to him about exactly that first subject about terror, the fact that that one of the criticisms, and you hear it from Democrats as well as Republicans, is when you have one of these terror attacks, you know, James Foley is beheaded, he goes out and plays golf. Paris happens and he calls it a setback. You know, you get San Bernardino and he suddenly makes a pitch for gun control. So I talked to him exactly about that subject.
Good.
There is an embargo. I can't tell you what he said about it because the White House says you got to wait till 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. But he discusses it. I'm not sure you'll be persuaded, but he discusses that. As far as Hillary Clinton is concerned, and this was amazing. He had not been asked about this since back when he talked to 60 Minutes in October, and he basically gave her a clean bill of health. He said, you know, that she did not endanger national security. I said, look, since then, we found out that 2,000 of the emails had classified information. 22 of them had top secret information. You're still going to give her a clean bill of health. And in addition, you know, as this FBI investigation gets to a head, can you promise the American people that the decision on how to handle the Clinton case will be made on a legal basis, not a political basis? Again, you may believe him or not believe him, but he's going to make some news on that I'm sure you and Brother O'Reilly are going to be talking about on Monday.
Well, I think Brother O'Reilly's a little concerned. If you're so tough on the president, then he's never doing another Fox interview again because he's only got a couple more months. So hopefully you were just right down the middle. Chris, thank you very much. Cannot wait to see it. And that is Thanks, it for us tonight. Bill will be back on Monday. Waters, and This Is My World.